All right. All right. Should I do
Yeah.
the honors? Okay. All right. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to this show. And today is going to be going to talk about the quarterfinals that occurred last weekend, and what a weekend it was! Nail biting all the games except for probably the Indus Thunder's Kings 11 game, which promised to start off with a good challenge from Kings 11, but in the end, Thunders were so convincing in their victory that it didn't remain a nail biter after all. But the other three games were just perfect for DCL, for promotion of cricket. So we're going to talk about them, and we're also going to talk about our predictions for the semifinals as well. So with that said, let's go to the first game of last week, and that's going to be the Dynamites versus Strikers game. Obviously, this game. It's given me so many nightmares. I've thought about this game every single minute from the time I've left the field there of what could have been. A run saved here, a run saved there, a catch taken there, a catch taken. I think it was a good batting display by both teams. I think the bowling was mediocre from both sides. I don't think there's much to talk about the bowling, even though I think Amrit did got a team hat trick for them to close out the game. But yeah, overall, I think it was a stupendous batting effort by both teams. And I think where we lost the game, where Strikers lost the game, was in the first innings where we allowed them to score that 124 plus. There were 6 to 7 catches which were dropped, and out of them, I think 4 or 5 were just straightforward in the hands kind of catches. It was that one of those days where just that we couldn't field at all. There were overthrows. There was some things which were not, just didn't plan out well. And all credit to be given to Arun. He came in with an intent. We did give him a life, but probably more than once. I think 2 or 3 times. But he took the most of it. And that one over, my over, which he hammered me for I think 20 or 22 odd runs. That
23, yeah.
basically, yeah, that
23
basically
runs.
23 runs. Yes, that basically changed the whole momentum of the game. I think at one stage we were looking to chase around the hundreds or the low, no, low 90s, or sorry, high 90s. But that one over, basically switched the game completely in Dynamite's favor. And even though like it was a tall order to chase 124 and pay playoffs, I think Strikers through the resilience, just kept on pegging at it. There was a good start from Parag and Rahul. I think at one stage we were 5 overs for 30 odd for no wicket, and it was the perfect setup for a chase like this. But then the middle order collapsed. Just no partnerships in between, and then walked in our dynamite Kishore. He's not been in the thickest of forms this season. He's played a couple of innings, but he's been out with a shoulder injury last couple of games, and he just came in with so much intent in this game. I was just amazed with his body language, and I knew from the time he came on the field, even when we were fielding, that there was something different about him, and he just came in with such an intent. And at one stage, we were pretty sure that we were on the course of winning the game. I remember the equation being 1 over 5 runs 1 over 5 runs and 3 wickets in hand. And from there to lose this match in that manner is just astonishing. 3 wickets in the last over were just, heartbreaking. And that too of people who were that experienced, especially, sending in like Adi and Binod. I expected a little more, rub their experience from megabytes to get us through, and it was just one of those days. And I would like to congratulate Dynamites. I know that just like Strikers, they too, this opportunity of coming in the semifinals, coming this far in the season, it doesn't come that often. And I think I wish them all the best. I hope, and I sincerely pray that they basically go all the way, because I think it will be a fabulous season to cap for Dynamites. They have definitely turned the tables, turned it to a different gear, and I could see their intent in both fielding and batting. They definitely played as a team, even though the match was close and it could have gone either way. But all congrats to Vijay, and I hope him all the best.
Yeah, Parthiv, I watched the game. I did not see Arun Selvaraj hitting because I was switching between three games. Pradeep Botta had sent through Satya a link to his game. So I watched the Pokri's Raptors game quite a bit because it was very interesting. And then I was watching the KRCC game because Maulik had sent me the link. And then I think somebody sent me the link for the Strikers game. And so I got to watch the Strikers game too. So I was switching between the games. So I did not see but I was watching the scores because I was trying to watch two games at the same time. I had one game on the big screen television, and then I had one game going on the laptop, and then I had a scorecard also refreshing. So awesome. So I was switching between three places, and I thought it was like cricket heaven. But I thought the Strikers had the game in hand, and sorry to say this, Parthiv, but I think you lost the game for Strikers.
Absolutely.
And what surprised me the most was, if somebody had told me, I don't know, any time in the season that somebody is going to hit you for 23 runs in 1 over, I would have asked him, is he high on drugs? That's honestly what I would have asked him, because I did not see that coming, especially considering how well you bowled against us. So I for sure did not see that coming. And against us, you did not drop any catches. And you're saying in this game, you dropped left catches by the bucket. But I think if you went and looked at the score, it was somewhere around 52 or 53 or something, 51 or something like that. And all of a sudden, if I'm not mistaken, from 51, it bounced to 74. Yep. I'm not sure by over score if you look at it. Yeah, because I thought I saw the 20, I saw the first 4 and I said, okay, that's all right. But then, 51 to 74. And that was some hitting by Arun Selvaraj. So give him credit for that. But tell me what went wrong there, Parthiv. I mean, how would somebody hit for that? Was it real bad bowling or was it exceptional batting?
I think it was a combination of both. One is that after the first six went, that was a good hit. But after that, somehow I was trying to bowl a different length, but I kept bowling the same length to him and he kept picking me in the same manner. So all the 3 sixes were in and around that cow corner, deep mid wicket area. And just bad bowling that I didn't do anything different from seeing that he was basically playing that way. And then all credit to him is all his hits were clean, and just bad bowling. I would say the experience with which I've had gained in DCL, I should have done better. No two questions about that. But even after that, I think I think after giving away 23 runs, I think we did a very credible job to kind of pull the score back a bit, because I think at that point of time, it looked like they would be going in excess, like touching almost 140, 150. So, and even the last over, I mean, even though we gave up 14 runs, that, the first ball was a drop and then the second ball went to a 6. So, that was a drop from the keeper side, from my side. So another, you can add another 10 runs on my credit to that. So it was just all in all, just a, horrible dream or horrible nightmare, which came true. And, one of the worst days probably I have had in DCL. So, that's hard to swallow, especially when, you basically contributed in the wrong manner. But with the batting, when the batting came along, if we had got it through, things would have been different. It would have been washed out. But now this stays for me with at least a year to kind of mull over it.
Yeah, I think so, Parthiv, because I think the problem here is that, I thought 2 overs for 7 runs, if I'm not mistaken, is what you had conceded. If I remember my, I have a memory for stats, but I thought it was 2 overs, or 2 overs, 8 runs, right? Then 23 runs went in that third over. So the other question I would ask is, why Chowji for the last over? Because again, if that
Yep.
last over had not gone for 14 runs, you probably could have still won the game, because again,
Yep.
the pressure goes onto the bowler when he is defending 5
Correct.
runs as opposed to 10 runs or whatever it was, which
Yeah.
was
So I
very,
think there were a couple of things. One is Vinayak, who generally bowls his quota of overs. Like I generally have him, he bowls his fastish off spin, and he generally shares the new ball with me. He had some anxiety attack, and I think it's because of his lack of, he didn't have breakfast, or just dehydration or whatever it was, and he was out of the field. They had to give him like there was somebody who had some equipment along with him, so they had to kind of check him over. So he couldn't take the field for majority of our fielding side. So I had to kind of find another option. And between
okay.
Rahul Pawar and Rahul Chowji, I opted because he has a slower pace, and I didn't want to kind of use a lot of pace. I had Rahul Nikam, who also posed pace, so Rahul Chowji was my option. But again, those 14 runs, believe me, that would have been so much different if we had taken that catch, and that was of Anil, and he whacked us for the next ball 6, and there were a couple of overthrows in the end. So it would have been probably 6 to 7 runs if things had gone in order. And the first over from Rahul was pretty decent. I think he got like 4 or 5 runs in the first over. So
Well, it couldn't have been 2 runs,
two.
because if he has
Yes,
given only 16 runs and if
correct, correct.
14
Yeah,
runs
I'm
came in
sorry.
the.
Yeah, so it was a fabulous first over for him, and he picked up a wicket as well. So it
But
was,
when did he bowl that first over?
he bowled. I think it was the 22nd or the 23rd over. He bowled the last 2 overs for us.
Oh,
I mean, yep. So we were like, yeah, so
okay.
23rd and 25th. So,
Yeah.
basically we were running out of options, and we were hoping against hope that we could get more wickets, but we couldn't. I had to use the option we had because Vinayak wasn't available.
Okay.
Yeah,
That kind of explains, because this was something which I was again debating. Was I felt 2 overs cost you the game. One was that
right,
14 run over, and then the 23 run over, because you take those two things out of the equation, and
right.
this score is much more not threatening
Yeah,
like how it
yeah.
was this one. And
Yeah,
I
and believe
and
me,
again,
I've thought about this. I've thought about this so many times. Like there were so many instances about misfields and catches, and the 2 runs here, 2 runs there, could have made so much of a difference. So yeah, has all played in my mind all these 3 days. That I've been thinking what could have, what if scenarios.
yeah, I mean, I have, even though I didn't see Arun Selvaraj's innings, I did see Kishore's innings. I thought it
Yep,
was one of the highest class innings I've seen in a long
yep,
time. I mean, as you said, he was in a total zone.
right.
Anything pitched on middle and leg, it was a clean connect. Even that last ball where he got out, I
Yeah,
thought it was 6. You see, it was
yep,
caught right at that boundary.
right.
And the way it went, I thought that's also gone. So
Yep.
as long as he was there, I felt that you had the game totally in your control.
And
But
I think the other
even yeah,
And even I think the biggest turning point was the run out of Kapil in the last over. So he was our
yeah,
set batsman. He was
yeah,
basically, going to, be the person who's going to finish the game. And he got run out on the first ball. And as they say, never run on a misfield. That actually happened. It was a misfield, and then panic. They ran, and albeit the run out happened. So our set batsman got out, and that was another big jolt for us, because then the new batsman came in, and even though Binod, you basically rely on him, but just it was just one of those days where it just didn't work out.
yeah. I mean, again, I think as Vinod, even when Vinod walked in, I thought there were with all his experience, you would think that he would be able to negotiate that. It didn't call for a big 6-run hitting contest. Again, going
Yep.
for the shot and committing that cardinal mistake which the Glad's batsman did in the previous game, hitting a tall high skiers out to this thing. But I felt that even if he had just hit singles and doubles, you could have extracted some more, maybe a wide here or a there, and then
Yep.
the next thing the game is going to the last ball kind of a thing. But it was a high
Absolutely.
quality game, and I thought it was very well played, especially I think Kishore really made it a fantastic batting effort there.
Yep.
It was hard luck to fall on the wrong side of things, but I think that 2 overs cost you the game, and Kishore almost brought you back in. But again, that 3 wickets in the last over did not help. I think a little, and as you said, you would have thought that our friend Rahul, who's this? The guy who got run out. His name is
Kapil.
Kapil. You would think that Kapil would have learned from his mistake in the previous game, in the sense that again there was a run out there, and
Yeah, I
some
think
panic running is there. It doesn't.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't blame it on him. I think it was more around the other person. I think Vinayak in both instances probably shouldn't have, called for the run. And yeah, I mean, you could give a part of the credit also to Kapil. Part of the blame is because he responded
Yeah,
to the call. So yes, to be honest, I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
In both cases, he responded, and
yeah,
I probably Kapil needs to take a leaf out of my book, because when I go for batting, I used to say, you know what, guys, we are running at my pace, so I'll do all the calls. There is no call which is your call, which is always
yeah,
my call, because I have to reach the other end safely too. So I know if I can reach the other end, I know you will also reach the other end. So
absolutely.
so you'll have to
Yeah, and
do
I think
something like that.
yeah, but to give Kapil credit, he's definitely our MVP of this season. He's performed day in and day out for games, especially these tough games which he's taken out. The one in Glads, there was another game previously with Kings 11, which he got us through, and even here he got us through. He almost got us through. So, a very very productive season for him, and he's definitely proven. Even though he has his fitness issues, which I hope next year he becomes a little more fitter, but he has the will to stay there, and he has the big shot as well, so he's definitely made this season count.
Yeah, actually, the only thing which I would correct you on that in Partho is that I don't think it is just this season. In fact, if you go back
Yep.
and look at his record for the last 2-3 seasons, even the year
Yes.
which you did not play for strikers, and he was the skipper, he was
Yep.
the sole person carrying the team. So he has
Yep.
been carrying the team on his back for the last 2-3 years. So a lot of
Yep.
respect for what Kapil has been doing. I mean, he has been performing lights out with the bat, and then even with the ball, he comes in and chips in and does what
Yep.
he can. He does go for runs, but he also ends up picking wickets. So
Yep.
you have to kind of pick the poison kind of a thing. But I think he's had a fabulous this thing. Yes, I agree with you on the fitness aspect of it, but all of us are getting older, and so that probably becomes a little more of a challenge, especially when kids are around and you don't get the same
Right.
amount of time and things like that. But for whatever he has done, I mean, it's not just this season. I think it's like when I said about Raza, he's been
Right.
consistently in the top three in the
Absolutely.
bowling, and the same thing for strikers. This guy has been by far the best player by a
Absolutely. And
mile the last 2-3 years.
yeah, and the passion which he has, even after probably every body part of it, his aches, and he has. If you see him play, if you're on the ground, you'll see he has straps everywhere. He has a elbow strap. He has a knee strap. He has pretty much everywhere where you can think about all the joints covered, and he still comes and plays. First, he used to be a fabulous close-in fielder, but even now, like he struggles to bend. So, we basically use him as a super sub. He comes in and bowls and bats. But yes, I think he's had, fabulous contribution all around for strikers over the years. And, he's my go-to man, when chips are down and, we want a solid partnership. He's definitely one of those guys I rely on.
Hey, the other thing which I wanted to throw out there is that I think as a leader also, he's a great leader, because that's
Absolutely.
what I
Yep.
realized in 2018 was that he single-handedly got the strikers into the playoffs, and he almost won that playoff game and went into the super over.
Right.
Once it goes to the super over, it's anybody's game. Who comes and performs then at that point of time. One hit, it could go for a six, it could go for a catch. So, so it's like a dicey proposition. But the fact that he's able to extract the best out of his players, I have noticed that for some time. So a lot of respect. So now that we are coming to the fag end of the season, and this probably is the second last show or whatever it is, we just had to give him credit for what he has done, and fantastic effort by him. But great effort by Dynamites too. I mean, you know, again, Parthu, correct me if I'm wrong. This show, probably one of the biggest beneficiaries of this show has been
Yes,
Dynamites. All right.
absolutely.
Dynamites Vijay Shanmugam should be saying this show should continue forever, because his players have been getting motivated and his players have been getting the maximum kick. Whether we are predicting against him or for him, he has been able to use that and manipulate it for his own purposes. And not to mention that his players have got plenty of recognition because of the same things. And of course, they performed well. Obviously, if you don't perform, you're not going to, nobody is going to talk about you. So
Yep.
I think the biggest insult anybody can get is when we don't talk about that person. That means that person didn't even register on
Right.
our mindset, kind of a thing. So congrats to Dynamites. I think they have their hands full against KRCC, but almost everybody will tell you that KRCC is the hands-on favorite there. But Vijay Shanmugam has been proving everybody wrong, and he has been somehow or the other making sure that his guys are fully motivated. They're pumped in, whether it is through this show or through Facebook or whatever else which he is using. It has all been working. So I would tell Vijay Shanmugam, don't change a thing, keep
Right.
continuing with, when something is working, you don't want to change it. So just
Absolutely.
continue
Yes.
on. So,
Yep.
unless there is a very good reason for you to change, I mean, I don't think they should change too many things at least.
Yeah, I doubt if there's going to be any change to their lineup.
Yeah, and again, I think game to game there might be some changes, because again, if you have a different set of opponent, it's like, for example, I probably would have used Rahul Pawar more, because it's not like bowling to Glad. So
Right.
there are not too many fastball hitters, and that guy has a genuinely good fastball. So maybe it could have caused some problem for Dynamite's batsman. But nevertheless, that's why I asked you, why did Chowji bowl the last over? Considering his slow pace, he is more easily hittable. But again, I understand if 23rd over went for 2 runs, then it's nitpicking at that point of time.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to the next game. And this game also was very, very close. KRCC triumphed over GLCC, and I think this game was very, very nicely poised at one point of time in the last overs, and then again it was one decision here or there. There was a run out call which I think changed the outcome of the game. It could have gone either way. It was really tight, so I won't blame anyone, like not the umpire nor the fielders who appealed about it, and they were pretty pissed about not getting the run out. But it was pretty tight. So that basically is one of the things which happens in these playoff games. This one moment or one thing which went the here or there could have switched the result of the game. But in this game, GLCC, I thought did a very good job about the batting, and one of the things that because of the overnight rain, because Saturday was washed out and there was Friday, there was a lot of rain. Most of the grounds when we went in there were soggy. There were patches or puddles here and there. The outfield was pretty much wet. So I think most teams, if I'm not mistaken, elected to bowl, and I think KRCC in this case also elected to bowl and put GLCC in. And I think the thinking was that as the sun comes out, and it did come out, that things would dry up, batting would become easier, and ball would carry to the boundary, and I think some of that did actually happen. So a lot of teams who were chasing were able to kind of take some of those benefits from the conditions changing right from the start to the midway during the innings change. In this case, I think Tamim made a big difference, and we've talked about him. We all know his reputation, what he brings, and he got those big 5 wickets. But I think GLCC did get the runs outside of the Tamim's 5 overs. So they were very decent contribution, especially at the top of the order, which were kind of missing early on. It's good to see Ajit. It was good to see Ajit kind of contributing, and his partnership with both Akash and Shoaib was going really well at one point of time. But then again, a couple of quick wickets. Vaibhav was sent in up to kind of use that left hand right hand combination. They had the services of Hemant, who we talked about last week, to Samish. He was back in the squad. And I think the big difference again was the late hitting by Navpreet. Three sixes. I think all three of them were consecutive of the meme. Not the meme. Sorry, I don't remember the bowler, but they were. I remember it was three
Dhoni.
consecutive six. Who's over?
Dhoni is over.
Tamim?
Yeah, yeah.
Dhoni's over. Okay, yeah. So there were three consecutive sixes, and then I think the meme got him in the end. But that 24 runs of Navpreet, I think definitely put GLCC's claim, definitely made it stronger. I would have at halfway stage, I basically predicted GLCC, but even at the halfway stage with 105 on board, I knew that it's not going to be a cakewalk for KRCC. And KRCC, I think, to be honest, I mean, they bat really deep. Seeing like people like Omkar come in like eight, I think he's for any person, he would be in the top order of any side. And I think they wanted to keep people like Jasmeet and Omkar on the back end, so that they don't expose too many heavy hitters at the top. I think Maulik being there, Tamim being there, I think they had that covered. But a fabulous innings from Sahesh at the top. I think he was the mainstay. Those 44 runs. Maulik missed out on this case, in this case, and I think if he has to win the best batsman award, he definitely needs to get the next two games if they reach the finals, to kind of make sure he's well and clear. I think with Amar out of the race, I think he's pretty much on his own. I don't think there's any person catching up with him. If I don't think there's anyone who's even close to him now. So Saran Raj is still there, but I doubt whether he'll be able to catch up with only one game or two games to go. But coming back to this game here, I think KRCC, had the game in hand. If you ask me, at the halfway stage, with at I think 12 overs, they were 40 for one or 44 for one or something, and with the batting order they had, they pretty much game wrapped up. But then you could never count GLCC off, and I think Hemant's spell and then Samish's spell, I think brought them back in the game. Those wickets as well as those tight overs. But again, I think one of the questions, just like how you asked me, was around the use of so many bowlers. With Ashraf was called upon to bowl, the last but one over and the last over, I guess. And I was surprised that they had to use those 5 overs between 4 bowlers. So that was something of a surprise. Why they didn't continue with one, or give Manpreet more than just 1 over. That was something which only Samish can answer. But I think KRCC definitely deserve to win, and I think they will be now hot favorites to be in the finals. I remember Maulik talking to me after the Glads game. He was so glad. He wasn't glad because we were through. He was more glad because it made their run or their draw much easier. So
Yeah.
they definitely feel they've got dynamites. They've got the score on dynamite. So I would be very surprised if KRCC lose to dynamite from here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Parthiv, on many of the things, and I think Parthiv, I'm not sure we all say that Samish is a smart skipper and things like that, but I don't know. I have a lot of questions, Parthiv, in this game, and you know me, if I have something on my mind, I'm going to tell it. I honestly feel that Samish missed quite a few mistakes. In fact, I and Rashid were exchanging notes, and we too, both Rashid and I, felt the same thing, that Samish missed a few or made a few blunders here. And first and foremost, Parthiv, you and I have been 100% on this, and Avi has also been with us on this one. The role of Manpreet Singh. And we asked this question point blank on last week's show. And
Yep.
I have said this openly that Manpreet Singh, if I'm the skipper, Manpreet Singh is not going to be on that 12-man roster. There is no way in hell Manpreet Singh would ever fit into that 12-man roster if I was the GLCC skipper. I'll state it flatly in front of Manpreet, because he has shown me squat. And if you look in this game, he did not bat. All right.
Yep.
But he's considered a batsman. All right. He's really considered a batsman. And you brought him in and he bowled 1 over. And if you ask me, Parthiv, I do not know if Satish, not Gaba, it is Satish.
Satish Tyagi. Satish Tyagi.
Now,
Yes.
I would have played Satish Tyagi. I do not know if he was not available. But being the playoffs, I would find it very doubtful that he's not available. You get my point? Because when Satish Tyagi is hitting his line, he's still one of the top 8-10 bowlers in DCL. All right. In my book, at least, I think he's a really good bowler. Especially, he might not look like a great bowler. If you look at it, he has a big punch and he looks unfit and all those things. But when he bowls and he's hitting his spots, his ball has good pace, and he can be a handful for any batsman to bat. Especially, he can give you a lot of trouble and he can pick up wickets. So I would have loved to see Satish Tyagi as the 12th man. I understand that Satish Tyagi gives you very little on the batting front, but hey, the same Satish Tyagi won them a critical game by scoring, 4 runs or 5 runs or something like that when it was down to 9 wickets in the league game. If they had lost that game, maybe even GLCC misses out on the playoffs, you see. So they won that game. So I thought that Satish Tyagi should have played this game in place of Manpreet Singh, because it didn't make any sense. The other guy who I have questions about playing is Roshan. I'm not that very high on Roshan. I feel that they have a guy named Manish, who I think would have been a better option at that spot, because Manish can give you bowling as well as he can give you batting, and Manish is also a better fielder. Now, unless you're telling me that Roshan is that far superior in terms of batting over Manish, I find it difficult to believe that Manish is not available. Maybe he's not available. Maybe these two guys were not available. I do not know. But if those two guys were available, then I think I would have preferred to see those two guys in the lineup instead of these two guys. Everybody else is this thing. The other thing is, I'm not sure why Shoaib Sheikh only bowled 1 over. Because if you go back and look at the Glads versus GLCC game, that is the first time Shoaib Sheikh was unleashed on DCL. And remember, I think it was the week before that where Samish had said that, he thought that the best player and the most important player was going to be this mystery player who was going to be playing unleashed in the Glads game. And he was going to be the MVP of that game, and he was going to be the difference maker. Well, we found out that the great man who was supposed to be the difference maker, I thought was supposed to be Shoaib Sheikh. He batted well in that game, and he also bowled well in that game. And at least the Glads batsmen, when they came back, they told me that he's a pretty good bowler. So based on the feedback I got back from the Glads batsmen, I do not know why he bowled only 1 over. But again, I think Parthiv, these guys bowling 4 1-1 overs is because of the lack of the 5th bowler. This is exactly what me and Rashid were saying, was that Rashid was saying, hey, the 5th bowler is not there, and they are trying to distribute that 1 over between various peoples and trying to figure out things. But somehow
I would have I would have another person I thought was missing. If they had to play, like, I would have played Pradeep Kalmat.
Yes, I would have. And Pradeep Kalmat was there because I heard his voice in the background. All right. I would have played Pradeep Kalmat over Manpreet Singh any day.
Exactly.
Hands down.
Yep. He would have
hands down, pants down. And he would have given you 5 pretty good, decent overs. Because he was considered by GLCC at one point of time their answer to Binod Singh. When Binod Singh was playing for Megabytes. There are similarities in their bowling, but he's not Binod Singh. But let's understand that I think there is only one Binod Singh, but he's as close to Binod Singh compared to what many other teams have. So I think he's a very good bowler. And again, I think if he was in the team, I think again he would have provided. And I know that for a fact that I heard Pradeep Kalmat in the background, which told me that he was fully available because I heard him cheering GLCC on, you see. So again, it didn't make much sense. I think this business of going by name recognition of Manpreet Singh, that has cost them. Now Preet Singh, he's coming down lower down the order. When he was going up the order, he was doing squat, but he's coming down the order and he has been doing great. And this is probably where he should be batting. But let's give credit to Samish that they found the right order or the right place for him. Anyway, that's his brand of cricket. He goes for it, and if he connects, it's gone out of the park. And if he doesn't connect, he'll be back in the pavilion soon. That's the way he bats. So and again, I think here in this game, they showed that you can't be giving just because it is Tamim Oni that it doesn't mean that he can't be hit. And now Preet Singh showed that he can be hit, and which is exactly what the previous opponents of KRCC, remember, I think 10 overs
Kings
went
11.
And they scored. No, it's not Kings 11. It is the Troy Hawks.
They scored.
Troy Hawks. Remember, they were in a race to see how they can score as little runs as possible, and they made Tamim Oni and others look as though they just landed from heaven. So and I told you at that time itself, that's preposterous. You can't be.
And I was looking at the GLCC squad. I think they were missing throughout the season, not just this game. I think there were a couple of other key players who have been in part of GLCC Ross, winning teams. One I think was Sudhir Pakka.
Sudhir Pakka is in India, so he's not missing.
So I think I was just comparing, who were there, the all-stars from the year previous. So that guy, and then there was another one who I thought, Raj Gumbar. He was another guy who used to.
I think Raj Gumbar is in Chicago, and honestly, on this 11, I'm not even sure if Raj Gumbar fits into the thing. Even though Raj Gumbar played for Glads, okay, or I'm not. Sometimes you have to tell the truth for what it is. And if I'm the skipper, I don't think Raj Gumbar fits into this 11. I'll be honest with you. So, but I think they have a guy named Sudeep who is a pretty good batsman actually. And
I think he played, didn't he? Did he play?
He didn't play this game. Game. Yeah.
Okay.
And that Sandeep Gopinath, if you ask me, is a pretty good batsman. And I think Ashraf probably should have gone a little higher up, probably. But all in all, you can't fault too many things. But I do think that where GLCC lost the plot is in that fifth bowler, and also probably, in the team selection. So, but you don't expect that from GLCC. And at least from Samish, but that's happened. So it tells us that even the great ones make mistakes.
Yep. Cool. All right, let's move on to the next game. This was a completely lopsided affair. Considering that Kings 11 had posted a pretty decent score, 109, in a playoff game is probably some people might consider it a winning score, but not against Thunders. I think Bangera and Chetan Dushan just made a meal canter out of this. But Kings 11, I think, to their credit, they performed really well this season. They've been kind of the surprise team coming into the season. They've kind of rebranded themselves from Kites. So nobody really kind of knew what the new Kings 11 makeup was. But once they played the first opening game, it was pretty clear that they had a good formidable unit, formidable bowling as well as batting. In this game, I think Sai Karodi and both the Sai Gautam, both of them key contributors, but they missed out on some at the top and the middle order to kind of support them. Nikhil, another duck.
Parthiv, let me ask you, be honest with me, okay? Parthiv, come on, man. You made such a big deal about this Nikhil Kumar after he scored a 55 against you. I mean, you made him sound almost like he's Prasanna Venkatesh or Arjuna Ajbani. You know, I mean,
Not,
maybe
but
not at that level, maybe
yes.
one notch below that level. This is the find of the season and all that stuff. And ever since that, I've been watching for Nikhil Kumar. And every time I watch, I see a duck. You know,
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I don't know what.
maybe there was one game where it was not a duck, but
Maybe I mean he played us twice. We played them twice, and both times I think he scored. Once he scored a 55, and the second time I think he scored
yeah.
in
So
20. But
it's like when he sees the striker name, he becomes one of these exceptional
it's like
batsmen. And
it's like you remember.
when the name doesn't have strikers in the logo, he doesn't care. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean,
Yeah, and I remember.
every time I see a duck, I start laughing because I keep saying, "Man, I don't know what Parthiv saw," because I haven't seen the guy bat. All right, so I mean, I honestly
It's
cannot
one of
comment much
those.
on it.
Yeah, it's one
I'm
of
just
those
going
things.
by the stats. All right,
I
and the
agree. Yeah,
stats are
you're
painting
not
a
wrong.
totally different picture.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's been, every time I come across Vijay or him, I ask him like, what have we got against you that you keep playing against us every time and not the other players? And I don't know what's it, but I remember in the 90s, people like Saeed Anwar and Jayasurya, they had a knack for Indian bowling. Somehow they used to fail with a lot of the teams, but somehow when India comes, they used to hammer the lights out of Srinath and Prasad and our bowling attack. So there is, I think that's something similar to that. He just has a knack of our bowling somehow, and hasn't been able to kind of replicate it in other games. But Kings 11, coming back to this, again 109 was a great score. I would have guessed that they would have definitely challenged Thunders, but the way Thunders have won this game, I'm pretty sure it's sending like uh, you know it's going to make people really cringe about what to expect in the next game. And the Thunders have pretty much everyone available. That's another worrisome factor for people who were expecting that they might not have this person or that person. Dinesh is in, Jalaj is in. You see Praveen obviously in great form. He's already had a century this season and another 50 now. So it's definitely sounding very ominous for anybody who's going to come across Thunders. And at this point of time, I really, really would be doubting anyone who would bet against Thunders from winning the championship, unless it happens on one of those days where just somebody plays an outstanding innings, or they play really, really poorly. But on the cards, on the paper, Thunders definitely are way head and shoulder above any of these four teams. And I see them playing Dynamites. Dynamites, you know, have a great team, but I really, really feel like Thunders are going to, easily cruise to the finals. And then coming into the finals, I think it'll be a different ball game. But I think they're definitely, finals team.
Let me correct you there, Parthiv. I don't think Thunders are going to play Dynamites because Thunders have to play
Oh,
Pokies.
sorry. Yes, Thunders play Pokies. Yes.
So coming to this thing, I think this is probably history in the making, because I'm not sure when is the last time a team has chased 109 and scored 110 for no loss. All right.
Yep.
I'm not sure if we have that good a stat anywhere. You get my point, especially in a quarterfinal game. We are not talking about in the league stage, because going and scoring 110 for no loss against AR Phantoms or Micah or something like that is not the same as scoring 110 for no loss in a playoff game. So let's give credit to Thunders. They did nothing wrong. They bowled great and they batted great. As you said, this is their championship to lose. They are the overwhelming favorites at this point of time. And I do not believe that any of the other three teams have that much of a chance. But then again, it's cricket. And once you play the game, anything can happen. And Patriots have showed us how you can beat Thunders and what needs to happen. But again, Kings 11, I was surprised they couldn't even get a single wicket. I thought 109, again, as you said, I thought it was a pretty decent score. Even in our Glad's WhatsApp group, there were messages saying that this is going to be, Kings 11 may even win this game. So this is before Thunder started batting, all right? once it got to, I don't know, 35, 40, I remember posting saying that this is I didn't predict that, but whoever is predicting that Thunders might lose, I think that prediction is going to fall flat on the face. And I did not expect 110 for no loss, no kidding. But again, I think I heard that a number of catches were dropped. I do not know if that is true or false. Again, we probably need somebody who watched that game. Again, this game was not live, so I did not watch the game. And even if this game was live, I doubt I would have seen this game that much compared to the other three games, which were very interesting. As I said, I was switching between those three games. So I think Kings 11 not even getting a wicket, that's a little, especially when they have some very good bowlers. Give credit to Sai Korodi. He batted really well, because when you score 55 of the 109 runs, that's a pretty solid, and that too at more than a run a ball, and with one boundary, 1 4 and 2 6s. That's an excellent innings. Wish he had got a little more help from a couple of the other guys. It could have been a little more interesting, but when a team scored 110 for no loss, it didn't matter if our Kings 11 guys had scored 125 or even 130. It wouldn't have made any difference, because I think Thunders would have thundered past them no matter what. So congrats to Thunders. There's really nothing much to talk. Their openers did a fantastic job batting. I think Bangera is in the top of DCL world in terms of form. I'm not sure where he is on the batting scorecard, especially considering he hit a century. Don't you think he should be somewhere close within range of the best batsman award?
I think he's fifth on the batting chart.
266. Yeah, yes. So he's about he's okay. So you have Amrendra Nuwala, who is in number one spot, but he's out, and I think Maulik Patel will probably overtake him for all intents and purposes, because Maulik is definitely, I think, going to see 2 more games. So he has enough of an opportunity to overtake Amrendra Nuwala. I think Bangera also has that chance, but he probably needs another one very good innings, so 40, 50 odd innings kind of a thing, which is well within his range. So I think that game is still, and again, I think Saran Raj is batting very well. So I think it's still a 3-way race between Maulik and Saran, but Maulik has the upper edge because he's already ahead, and pretty much his team has the easier path to the final. So he's pretty much going to be there in the final. So as long as he doesn't do something stupid and foolish and go for trying to finish the game Dhoni style or whatever it is, which he did when Glads needed 1 run to win or something like that in a DCL final, and he gave a full catch on a full toss. As long as he doesn't do anything stupid like that, I think he still has the best shot there. So, but congrats to Thunders.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to Kings 11. Like I said, they have basically nothing to lose. I think they've come off a great season, and I think it just will get better from here. They have the players, they have the team, and I would expect them to go, much deeper next year. Probably even match, if not go deeper, match, what they've achieved this year. So it's definitely, a very successful season for them, and just great to see the competition growing, even with the new teams coming in.
Parthiv, I wanted to just interject that our friend Avi just texted that Mansab had posted some posted some comments on the YouTube channel. So I went and took a look at it, and he said, keep a track of it and see if you can answer those questions. And Mansab says, why Manpreet played? Well, I do not know why Manpreet played. So I did ask him, why did Manpreet play? Because it beats me why Manpreet played. As I said, cricket ball is one thing, DCLT ball is totally different thing. So if you are saying that because of his cricket ball prowess, he should be playing, even cricket ball, I'm not sure when is the last time Manpreet had some beginnings. Again, I don't follow cricket ball, so I can't answer that question. I'm just asking a rhetorical question. But anyway, I don't know why Manpreet played. So the answer to that is no, I do not know. And the next thing is what Mansab feels is that, he should have batted and that GLCC made a mistake there. Well, I'm not sure. Again, as I said, I have not seen any big innings in T-ball. If it was cricket ball, yes, I would have given Manpreet the chance to bat. But in T-ball, probably not. And I think Samish made the right decision, at least as far as I'm concerned, because let's face it, Manpreet is not Mansab. All right. So Mansab is a great T-ball player and he's doing great in cricket ball, but Manpreet is not a great T-ball player. And if Manpreet wants to become a great T-ball player, he needs to prove it next season, because this season is done and dusted and he has proved nothing. So that's about it.
Yeah, I think the logic behind, maybe I'm just reading in between the lines why Mansab says that he should have batted is, and just like I think a lot of people feel, is that they do feel, go by the reputation of Manpreet, and they do feel it's just a matter of one day or one game, and he can switch it. He can basically be a game changer. But when will that game come, or whether it'll actually come, is anybody's guess. So I guess that's the
Parthiv, this reputation in cricket ball, which you're talking about, when it comes to the T-ball ground, it is worth less than the tissue paper which is there in my restroom. All right, and you know what happens to that tissue paper. So please don't get me started.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to infer why people believe, or why people think Manpreet should be included or should have batted. I think that's the logic. I can only think about that logic behind that suggestion or that advice.
Yeah, I think people go a lot by reputation, but I think I don't know, if you play T-ball for some time, you know that the reputation is useless.
Yeah,
prove it on the ground, and then we can talk about it.
Absolutely, I think that's correct. All right, the last game of the weekend was Raptors versus Pokies. This was a repeat of, I think, the 2018 or 19. I think it's 19. And at that time, I think it was the pre-quarterfinals. I was leading Raptors at that time. And very similar. I think there were a lot of things which were very similar to your in that game also. I think, we basically were favorites going into the game, Raptors versus Pokies. And I think in this game too, I mean, I wouldn't say Raptors were overwhelmingly favorite, but I would have guessed, based on their standings and based on where, how they had performed, they were definitely the favorites to win against the Pokies. But what Pokies brings is experience, and experience playing in playoff games and turning those moments, those key moments, into their favor. And I think that's what I think Raptors lack over a period of time, is they exceptionally, and this is a trend which I've seen over and over a period of time, is they're exceptional during the regular season, but when it comes to playoffs, somehow they kind of have that pressure. They can't handle the pressure. And this time, we were all relying on Amar to provide that start, and I think that was one of the the strengths and the weakness, that if Amar fails, it was pretty much difficult for Raptors to post a decent total. But still, I think with the incoming of Bota, I had confidence that that middle order would have contributed, and he would have stayed there to have that score at least post a 100 plus. But I think both Amar and Pradeep both failed to kind of get runs, and Raptors folded 74, which was probably below par, probably 15 to 20 runs short of making a game out of it. But Pokies, have been performing, have been under the radar. They haven't really performed like exceptionally. They haven't had a exceptional game where you would say, they are definitely one of the favorites. But somehow they have found a way to win. The games, like even the game against Patriots, they squeezed past Patriots. Even this game, even though they were chasing 75, I think it got tight a little bit towards the end, but they squeezed out of it. It's great to see our friend Avi brought in, and I think that's courtesy of Ranjit not playing in there. But I think the bowling effort from Pokies was the ever reliable Ravi Narla, Venki, and Giant and Saran, all kind of contributing. It was surprising. I think it was maybe it's a call from Ravi to figure out like why he had to kind of use an extra bowler when both Neil and Saran were bowling so well, I would have basically finished off Saran, finished off Jayant, because they were basically, picking wickets. They were pretty economical. So I think there must have been a ploy or something where they might have tried something which didn't work out. And playing with Avinash, obviously you want to give him a chance, so probably giving him the bowling up front. But once you had Neil and Saran bowling so well, I would have finished those overs with them. And then coming to the batting end, I think it's been a Saran Raj Neil show all along. Prasanna, he was in there. He hasn't performed to the level which we all expect him to perform. And maybe it's the next game where the big game brings the big man, big contribution. So you can never rule that out with Prasanna in there. And maybe the next game is when we see the best of him. But Pokri is definitely, I think, using all their experience over the period of time, over reaching the finals three times, and using it to kind of just get past Raptors. I think Raptors missed a trick there. There were a few extras conceded. There were a couple of dropped catches where I talked to Pradeep, which I think could have made a difference to how the result would have been. But I think Raptors. I think one of the things I think they need to do is find players who can perform. Under pressure. I think the pressure of the playoffs somehow has over a period of time gotten the better of them over and over time. So bad luck to Raptors. I definitely at the start of the season I had them as one of my semifinalists, and I still think on a different day would have been a different result. But all kudos to Pokris, yet another top four finish. And if things go well like they have done in the last two games, they might also sneak past KRCC. Who knows? So
again, my friend, they are not going to play KRCC in the
oh,
semifinals. So
I'm so sorry.
they are going to be playing Indus.
Yes.
But having said that, I think Raptors' kryptonite is Pokris, because this is what happened in 2018. You guys landed against Pokris in round one, and Raptors are shown the exit door. Well, Raptors ran into Pokris again, and again Raptors were expected to win, but they are shown the door. I do believe that the Raptors did a few things right this season, so let's give them credit for that, in the sense that I think the first and foremost is they have a skipper who at least I feel is definitely qualified to lead them. I think he's the best skipper they have had in a long, long time. At least it's not based on, I don't know, some name recognition and name reputation and people who just show up on game day, who don't do any planning, who have no seriousness. When you talk about Botta, he's really serious. He's a student of the game. He puts in the hard yards, so he deserves every accolade which comes his way. He's a money player. Yeah, I do agree that on the result front, he has nothing to show forth other than another quarterfinal exit. But the way he used his players throughout the season, again, granted, he didn't play quite a number of games, and I think Pradeep Anjuru filled in very well for him. So, but nevertheless, they have made sure that they got the maximum out of Kiran Boinapalli. I think this is one of the best seasons Kiran Boinapalli has had. I was watching this game and I was watching the way he batted. I thought he really, really batted well. With regards to Amarendra Nuwala, Parthiv, I do not know what went through Ravi's head, but they had Ravi opened the bowling and then Avinash followed up with Ravi. I somehow felt that the guy who would get Amarendra Nuwala would be Saranraj Balasubramaniam, because that if you had asked me who among the Pokris bowlers has the best chance to get Amar, the answer would have been undoubtedly Saran. And you know what? Take this and look it up next time also. It's going to be the same thing. Because he has a certain ball which does create a problem for Amar. Now, not too many people know what is that ball, but I'm telling you, Amar does have a problem with this thing. And sure enough, Saran did get him eventually, but I would have taken, but you know what? You wouldn't even need Saran. very first ball, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if our friend Satya watched this game, but I thought there was a catch to mid-off position, which was dropped. It was the very first ball of the innings, and Amar was dropped.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, there goes the match, because I remember when we had the chance to get Vinayak Kamble run out and we did not get him run out, I remember texting in my group saying that there goes the match, because there are some mistakes which you cannot make, but let's give credit to Pokhris. As long as you win the game, who cares? But I think I mean, this is nothing against Raptors. I mean, after all, Pokhris were playing undermanned. They didn't have they had a few things going against them. You had Ranjit Palaniswamy suspended. And again, in my book, wrongfully suspended. And there are numerous people who have told me that they didn't agree with that decision. There are some people, yes, we saw in the last game, last show also, Samish and Satish Gaba felt he should be suspended. Well, guess what, guys? You guys are in the playoffs. So I would say that, if you are in the playoffs, you have a vested interest. Of course, you want to see him suspended. I mean, if you're not in the playoffs, you might say, well, I may not have that same vested interest. It's one less player, one less person to deal with. But I think this was a great win for Pokhris. It was. I felt after this game, Ranjit Palaniswamy should be doing CT Mar, CT Mar, CT Mar. That's exactly what he should be doing. And that's probably what the entire this thing, because they showed it to all of DCL and they told the DCL committee, take your suspension and stuff it. Because, that's exactly what we think of your suspension. And here it is, take it and stuff it. But it is a great win for Pokhris. But again, I think Raptors did a number of great things. All right. They had a 9-win regular season. That is nothing to sneeze at. It is a fantastic effort. They finished third in the regular season. It's in the playoffs, as you rightly said, that they seem to have some problem. And the question is finding those players who can handle the pressure. Because in playoffs, the pressure multiplies many times over, and sometimes it doesn't work out. So, but again, if you look at Pokhris, nothing extraordinary bowling or anything. All right, they're just maintaining good line length. If you look at it, they bowled 3 wides, I think, in that entire innings, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 3 wides, and so it's pretty spot on bowling. I mean, basically they are making the batsmen earn all the runs. So congrats to Ravi Narala and Pokhris. They have pretty good record in the playoffs. But now comes the big problem, Parthiv. Last time around, they went against Indus Thunders. That was in a DCL final. And there they made some questionable decisions and they lost that game hands down, pants down. Now, this time around, I hope that they correct some of those mistakes and not make some unnecessary changes. I think they have some good batsmen who are doing well. I think Prasanna Venkatesh, I think if you ask me, in this game, batted like he should bat. You were chasing just 74 runs. There was nothing extraordinary needed. Yeah, he got out LBW, so I don't have any concerns on the way in which he batted or the way in which Raghu Palaniswamy batted, because they had plenty of balls to spare and, chasing a meager total, nothing to think. I think for all the detractions we have given Ravi Narala, let's give him also credit. He has done a fantastic job, especially undermanned, underhanded with Ranjit not there. And now he gets Ranjit back. Now, does that mean our friend Avinash Raghu goes back to the bench? I do not know. I'm not the Pokhris skipper, and thankfully I do not have to make that decision. But I feel, I may be biased, I feel Avi is good enough to be in that 11 or 12. So, but that's just my thought. But yeah, good season for Raptors. Few things which they can improve upon. But I think they shouldn't change the skipper. Every year they keep changing the skipper. They shouldn't change the skipper. They should stick to Botta, and then let's give credit to Pokhris. Fantastic effort from Ravi Narala.
One of the question which has been sent to me is around this semifinals. I think from the last couple of years we've had third umpire been
Yeah.
appointed, and this year I don't see a third umpire being appointed. So I just wanted to bring up that point. I don't know what's the benefit, or the what basically adds or doesn't add to the game. Because I know for sure, I think I've been one season I was a third umpire on behalf of the committee, and there wasn't much I was involved with, basically. I think, and I think the role of that third umpire is up for question, as to when he can intervene versus when he doesn't have a say. And I think the general rule, what we had adopted, is only when asked. Now, I don't know, like, why, like, a third umpire would be asked for something which, like, for example, probably the only thing I can think about is an edge, if he's heard it. That's the only thing I can think about. I don't think he can give an LBW or a run out from outside the dugout. So I'm split between whether, is there a true benefit in appointing third umpire, really, honestly. So what do you think, Riju?
So my personal opinion is there should be a third umpire for the semifinals and for the finals. And the reason I say that is because one of the problems has been the edge where the main umpire has a little bit of a doubt. Now, between the leg umpire making that decision, because what has been happening throughout the regular season is there is an appeal. All right. Main umpire is not sure. He thinks it's not out. Immediately, everybody tells, go and ask the leg umpire, go and ask the leg umpire. And what we have been finding is now the leg umpire becomes the most important person on the ground because oftentimes he is making a decision based on a sound, but he is behind the batsman on a right-handed batsman or even on a left-handed batsman if he had changed positions. So you are in no position to see whether the bat was even involved, whether how close the ball was to the bat or any of those things. All those things can be solved by having a third umpire, but having a third umpire with the right procedure. Because let me explain to you what happened in a DCL final. I'm not going to use any names. We had two umpires for the DCL finals, and we had a third umpire. Well, the main umpire was not sure. He went and consulted with the leg umpire, which he should not have consulted with the leg umpire because the question was about caught behind. All right. So if he has a doubt, he should be going to the third umpire because that's what the third umpire is there for. But he went and consulted the leg umpire, and the leg umpire said, well, he's not sure. So then they had a discussion. They had a discussion, and then they referred it to the third umpire. So the third umpire comes into the field. They have a discussion, and we found this after the game. The third umpire said it was definitely an edge. It was out. But guess what? The two umpires then decided to overrule that guy. So in that case,
Yeah,
if you're going to overrule the third umpire, so what is that man wasting his time there for? It's a utter wastage of time. Once you have referred the decision to the third umpire, it is out of your plate. It is not in your hands anymore. It is the third umpire's call. So if he feels that it is not out, it is not out. So it's only for edges. It's not for runouts. It's not for LBWs. If you want to refer to the third umpire for that, then that is fine. But if it is something else, then I think you have two main umpires there and they can get the job done. But again, I think where you position that third umpire is also important. I think it needs to be on the right side of the batsman, not directly behind the batsman, where he can see how that ball is deflecting or how close it was, and also close enough where he can hear the sound, kind of a thing. So in that case, it makes sense. You have provided that in the past, and I know that in this particular occasion, they have gone and said that no third umpire. I honestly feel that is a disservice to the playoff teams because you have always provided a third umpire. But let's have the rules very clear. The rule is you consult the third umpire only for a nick, and once it is referred to the third umpire, then the decision is out of your hands. It's whatever he decides, that's going to be the call. And wherever the third umpire is sitting, there should be nobody from the batting team or the fielding team within 6 feet of that guy. Give him plenty of space, and you shouldn't be, just give him that space. But oftentimes that doesn't happen, and there are people standing there, and you can't have the third umpire keep changing position. So if he's standing at one position, then that's the position, and the others need to give him that space. So I think you need to firm up those rules, and if those rules are followed, then it makes sense. But as you rightly said, if the third umpire is not going to be used or is going to be overruled, then better not to have a third umpire. Why waste his time?
Here's another incident which was brought up by Satish Gaba. It happened during his game. So the bowler bowled, and he bowled close to the stumps. Obviously, he was in the line of sight of the umpire, and it was a big wide as per the fielding team. I wasn't there, so I'm just going to go by what he told me. But it was a big wide. It was very, very evident that it was a huge wide, and the umpire didn't call it because he had no line of sight to because the bowler basically was in his way. So do you think something like this would be where the third umpire could intervene?
Definitely, yes, that could be an additional thing which can be referred to the third umpire, because that again makes some sense. You get my point? Okay, you know what? I was blindsided. Now I'll give you what Gaba is saying is true, because Maulik asked me the same question, and he asked me what would I have done if I was the main umpire. I said if I didn't see the wide, then I wouldn't declare it a wide, because there has been times where the bowler has bowled and come right in front of me and appeal for an LBW. Well, if I didn't see the ball, how in the world am I going to give it as an LBW? The same thing comes to the wide. By default, a ball is not a wide, so I am going to assume that it was not a wide because I didn't get to see it. So I think Imtiaz was the umpire in this particular case, and he says that, the bowler came right in front of him and he couldn't see it. So if he couldn't see it, tough luck. I can't call it a wide, because by default, it's probably, if I were there, I would have ruled the same way. Hey, I'm assuming that most balls are not wide. So I'm going to assume that, like most balls, that this was also not a wide. Now, I'll agree that ball was a wide. All right. So if you go, I saw that game live, and that particular ball itself, and definitely that was a wide, but KRCC did not get the benefit of that. But having said that, this would be another thing which can be referred, because it makes sense, because the third umpire has a very clear view of it. If I, through the camera, have a very clear view of it, definitely the third umpire would have a very clear view of it. So it has to be certain things which are referred should make sense. So these are two things which definitely make sense where referring to the third umpire.
In addition to that, I would say, yes, if the umpires feel they need to refer to the third umpire, then yes, the third umpire decision. But also, I feel with the advent, with this new review system, I think we could probably do that as well. Give the captains the opportunity to challenge the decision, not in terms of, it has to be overturned, but kind of do a referral with the third umpire. Also, in cases where the umpires are convinced that they don't want to go to the third umpire, in those instances. Now, obviously, we can't do it this season, but that's something which, it could be thought about next year, is to have that kind of a challenge rule where the
and again, you can only implement that probably in the semifinals or the finals where a third umpire is provided. You get my point?
Correct.
Because if you have that during the regular season, this game is going to go on for the 4-hour game is going to become a 5-hour game. So we can't have that endlessly. So let's understand where it can come into play. Probably in a semi-final or a final, where because of the critical nature of the game and how close the game is going to be. So every decision counts, and you obviously have the best umpires calling the game. So
Well, even in the
So,
regular season, I would say if we keep it limited to like one review per game, just like how I think a T20 game, I
yeah,
think
but
I
you
think it
don't have a you don't have a third umpire there, right?
no,
So how are you
yeah,
going to?
yeah. No, my thinking was that even in the regular season games, many a times you see the umpire, the main umpire giving the decision without consulting the leg umpire. This challenge rule will at least force the two umpires to consult, something like that.
Okay, but if it is an LBW decision, why do I even need to consult the leg umpire?
No, I mean it's still a challenge which you want to, you basically use it so as to force a consultation rather than right now where people are screaming and shouting to the umpires where they're saying, okay, can you guys talk amongst each other. So rather than avoiding this kind of pressure on the umpires, have this as a formal challenge rule. You have only two challenges or whatever, one or two challenges where you
Until
can.
it is recorded or anything, there is no point in challenging. Like it's going to be the same decision.
No,
Then
no, I'm talking about how
I
to
don't
make it
know.
formalized. How to make it formalized. So right now, what happens is, let's say there is an edge, the main umpire hasn't heard it, and he's not giving it. But the fielding team is so convinced. Right now what happens is they basically get on the main umpire and basically yell at him or shout at him and saying, "Can you ask the leg umpire?" It happens.
No,
It
but
happens many.
no, yeah, but now they are directly asking the leg umpire to go and talk to the main umpire. So
Right,
even though my initial decision was not out, now the honorable leg umpire has come and told me that he heard a sound, and now all of a sudden the guy who felt it was not out suddenly changes his decision to out. Somehow I feel that one thing of calling this, asking the leg umpire, you should consult the leg umpire only if you feel it was definitely out, and you just want to give that benefit in favor of the batsman in case there is no sound. But I thought it
right.
was out, but I just want to make sure with the leg umpire that it is out and that he did hear a sound. Now, if he didn't hear a sound, I'm willing to probably back off from my decision, especially if I'm not very confident about it,
Right. And the
But
and the other.
when I feel it is not out, and now I consult the leg umpire and change my decision from not out to out, then that benefit of doubt is never in
Going to
favor of the
see a
batsman.
lot of issues again, and it's going to take a lot of time. The captains will be fighting the other umpire to go and see. Like that's why they brought a rule: if main umpire gives out, he cannot change it. Also, like
Yeah.
so, to try to reduce unless you have two angle camera and you can go and review a run out or something, catch something like that. I don't
Yeah.
think
And I
this
think I
person.
think people are already clamoring saying that go and consult the camera. That is another thing which is going to waste
It
even more
sent
time.
like 2 3 times on the group.
Yeah.
Couple of runouts. I think in KRCC and Parthiv also sent one on his
Yeah,
screen.
yeah. People do that now that they have the technology. People are curious to go back and check. So
Yeah.
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 Until it is like again two angle, we cannot confirm with one angle. Like it's
yeah,
like a perpendicular line. We need to have both angles to check the runouts or anything like that. So
yeah. But I still feel like I think this needs more thinking. But I do feel like there is benefit in having that kind of a challenge rule to allow captains to basically consult the umpire one more time. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's something which the captains should put their minds and think about it, because it affects the entire league. So maybe next season, at the beginning of the season, have this discussion with the captains and see what they think, because you and I are just giving one
Hmm.
opinion. That's our individual
Right,
opinion, right or wrong.
right,
But
right,
everybody is entitled to their opinion, and ultimately it's a captain's league. So
right.
they should think over what they would like to see for their team, and then go with that.
Yep. And these are some of the things which I have recommended, like the comedy probably wants to probably try it out in like Contenders Cup or things like that. See how it works out.
Are they trying it?
No, they're not. I mean, this just
Yeah.
came in my mind right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, so the top shooters for this week, we talked about Praveen Bangera and yet another 50 fabulous season that he's having with a century already on the third. Sai Karodi, 55, and then Arun Selvaraj. We talked about him hitting against strikers. So a lot of 50s. Great to see. I think probably this is probably the most productive season in terms of batting This, if you look at the number of 50s and hundreds that are scored, so it's great for the game, great for DCL, and I think this ball ever since we've changed has been working wonders.
Now, the only question is, are we going to get the same ball next season? Because every year the ball seems to change a little bit.
Yeah, it all depends on Wilson and what they decide to do. It's out of our control.
Yeah, I agree.
The top shooters in bowling, Tommy Moni, I think those 5 wickets for KRCC definitely put the brakes on GLCC, got them at a score which I think KRCC was comfortable. So congratulations to all the top shooters this week. Now come the predictions. Oh my God, this is so close now. Avi
has caught up, Parthiv. I mean, at this point, the thing is that Pokri's win really helped him out, and so also I think he predicted Dynamites to win. I think.
Yep.
So that also helped him. See, caught up.
KRCC. Okay. So.
What is that?
Pokri's
Yeah. So he definitely has caught up, and now it's no more. Actually, Parthiv, you'll be surprised. Both Avi and I have been outperforming you after the first two weeks. Believe it or not. Because after 2 weeks, your lead on us was 11 games. So since that time, since the third week started, we have been either tied on some weeks, or every other week we've been catching up 1 game, 2 games. We've been consistently outperforming you. But the first 2 weeks, we had no clue what was going on, and all these new teams, they threw all kinds of googlies on us, especially Sterling strikers. I didn't expect them to be that good. So what happened was that I was picking against them, and I lost a bunch of games against them.
I think Sterling
damage for Parthiv.
What is that?
DLCC made the damage for Parthiv.
Yeah, I think the game changers were Sterling Strikers, Brownstown, GLCC. I think they have basically got us or got points away from us.
Brownstown.
Brownstown helped you out in the beginning of the season because you consistently picked against, and we went with Rashid Bhai, especially Satya. Rashid Bhai. Well, Rashid Bhai can do squat if he doesn't have players.
They have a good team in the paper, but they're not coming to ground. What to do?
Yeah, so they're also, all the great players are sitting at home and eating dum biryani.
All right. So for this week, so we don't have our guest here, but I think we can do our predictions.
And this is going to be a mistake. This is going to be a mistake because he has been coming as a guest and he has been winning games. You see,
yes.
So let's test this theory out. All right, he didn't come today, so let's see if he loses this game.
Avi goes to KRCC.
I think I go with KRCC as well.
And I go with KRCC too.
Yeah, I go with KRCC. Let's get so 4-zip KRCC.
Okay. So Avi goes with his team for Pokris.
Yeah, it's very difficult to bet against Indus Thunder. So even though it could be an upset, but it's on paper, I don't think anybody would go against Thunders. Yeah.
I go with Thunders too. So after seeing the form in the couple of last 2-3 games, so
yeah, I mean, me too. I'm going with Indus Thunders. I think they are a current champion and former champion, and they have won, so they know what it takes to win. I just hope it's not a repeat for Ravi, wherein against Raptors he seems to have their number. But when it comes to Indus Thunders, do they have the number? I think their star players will have to perform. So Mr. Prasanna Venkatesh has to step up. Yeah. And Vignesh Venkateshan has to step up. Neil has been stepping up throughout the season. Saran has been stepping up throughout the season. Amit has been stepping up. But they need a few guys more. Raghu Palaniswamy has to up his game compared to what it was, I don't know, 2-3 years ago when he was part of Stingers. He was like MVP or close to being the MVP of the season.
I think it's his top batsman or second top batsman. So.
Yeah,
Yep.
so he's nowhere close to that form of the 2019 form. So I'm sure when Ravi added Raghu Palaniswamy to Pokhris, he was anticipating that kind of performance. But what he has got is probably 1/10 the performance of what he has
The
been
difference
giving
is
in the
he
past.
opened every game on that season. So
Okay. Well, I mean, I honestly feel whether it is opening or whether you're going 2 down, 3 down, whatever it is, as long as you're getting to bat 18 overs, 15 overs, that's good enough. Do you really have to bat 25 overs? I mean, even if you open, you're not batting 25 overs, right? You might be.
pressure also makes the difference. Like if you lose a couple of wickets early and he has to try to stay there, stay there, stay there. Like
Well, but last game he handled the pressure well. I mean, he came in a tough situation and he stayed there and held one end up and then scored the winning runs. So he's definitely capable of handling the pressure. So no reason why he can't. I just think that if Pokhris have to advance, then these two new additions, Neil and Raghu, will have to prove their worth in this game.
so, viewers, anybody want to call in? That's the number.
Yeah. One of the things interesting this semifinals is these games are shifted to DSP, Drake Sports Park. Now that is, I don't know that that makes a difference or not. But I do feel like compared to Nova, Drake Sports Park is definitely a little higher on the scoring.
And also they moved to 10 p.m. instead of 9.
Right.
10 a.m. Sorry.
10 a.m. Yes. And I think one of that I think happens a lot, especially as we come into the fall season. With October, it's definitely a little more cold in the mornings, so that makes sense. Starting a little later, and I think there's rain predicted. It's cleared out on Saturday, so we should be able to finish the games. So earlier it was showing some rain, but I think we should be good.
Again, I think Drake Sports Park wind makes a difference, Parthiv, if I'm not mistaken, because there is more wind in Drake Sports Park than probably at Novi Power Park, and how that wind is blowing can make a lot of difference when you hit that shot. So especially if the wind is with you, even a slight tap can go well over the boundary. So I do think that that's probably one of the other reasons, but I also think that the batting wicket is slightly better at Drake Sports Park compared to Novi Power Park. I think Novi Power Park, I do not know. I heard a lot of people saying that, sometimes it's like beach-like conditions and there's just too much sand and it's just not conducive for good cricket kind of a thing. So
yeah, and I think one of the reasons is I think there is probably the management is maybe not taking care of some of the things which we have requested. I think we had requested, especially for the games which were happening back to back, to be rolled.
And that hasn't happened.
That hasn't
that
happened.
Has not. Yeah. And all these promises that all the wickets will be rolled and rolled by the city, that is hogwash. Let's face it. Let's call it for what it is. It was absolute hogwash. That never happened. It is the teams who are going there and brooming and brooming and brooming and brooming.
Yep.
In fact, you need a dedicated broomer just to even get a decent. Oftentimes, the skipper is the guy who has to go and do the brooming because he wants to win more than everybody else. So he's the poor guy who's always doing the brooming, or somebody else on the team who takes that responsibility and says, "I'm going to broom." And I think you have to broom at every opportunity you get because I think Novi Power Park has not been up to the same standard. So it's good that they moved the game to Drake Sports Park. I think it's a much better ground.
Yep.
And also, I think the 10 a.m. is also a good move because why do you want to play so early, especially when the weather is so cold and it's just going to get colder. I do not know what the temperature is going to be this this weekend?
No, it's going to be nice. It shows a high of 79 and a low of 54. So it's
Okay.
definitely going to be in the 70s when or early 60s, late 60s to start off with,
Okay.
and then it kind of gets warm up. And I think one of the things which I would like to do, I mean, is the semis and the finals should be kind of the afternoon game, because I've seen crowds gather more, especially families and stuff, as the day goes on. So early morning starts, I think it's great of the regular season, but come playoffs, especially semifinals and finals, I think they should be probably find a prime time when people are going to be there's a high likelihood of people coming and watching, and probably
And I
schedule
think
around
you
that time.
usually the finals, even though they say 10 o'clock and things like that, by the time you set all the I don't know, you have commentary or whatever it is and various other things and everything going. It
Yep.
usually starts around 11, and they also usually have, I don't know, pizza ordered or dosa stall or whatever it is at 1 o'clock and stuff like that. So they definitely get a better crowd, at least for the finals. Now for the semifinals, probably may not happen, but you still will see a decent crowd, especially if the weather is out there, which is good.
Yep.
So, well, Parthiv, this has been, we are coming towards the end of the season. This is what, the second last show, whatever it is.
Yep.
And we have only one more show just before the final. So it has been fun.
It's been awesome fun. I think we should probably do this next year as well, and bring more masala and think about what has worked and what other things we can add. Definitely, I think there is so much more we can entertain the crowd and the audience. So it's been great talking about it.
Yeah, definitely the team has been very good. I mean, I couldn't think of a better team to work with. So I do think that many viewers have liked it. So, but at least we have tried to be honest about whatever we say. I mean, again, it's our individual opinion. Somebody may or may not agree with it, but that's okay. But everybody is entitled to an individual opinion. But I think many teams like Dynamites and things like that really got the benefit. And this year we were able to throw a lot of team spotlight. Now, maybe the big teams we did not cover because, well, everybody knows all the top teams. So there was no necessity to put a team spotlight. But we did cover quite a few teams like the newcomers, and we did ask them questions. We did offer them suggestions. What they make of it, I do not know. But I think you're also going to probably see more teams join the league next year, is what I'm suspecting. Because once again, a lot of the interest comes from how much interest you can generate off the field, kind of a thing. If you can't generate enough interest off the field, then people are not going to be that interested. So
I think I think this year, I think was partly because of the COVID still being around, and I think the other is a lot of people have probably left due to jobs and stuff like that. So hopefully this situation and the pandemic doesn't affect people's lives anymore, and I'm sure we will have, like, I think back to 39 or 36 teams which we used to have. So definitely see that as how long this kind of continues. So
yeah, and again, I think none of us can predict what it is going to be 1 year from now.
Right.
Lots of changes keep happening all the time, but I think things are going to look up, is what I feel. But it's been fun.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's pretty much all we have for this week, right? I mean, it feels I almost feel half I almost feel half dressed, because in the sense that usually it's a 3-hour show or 2.5-hour show.
And yesterday he was at my home. It's going to be a small show. And show.
Well, anyway, we missed him. Hopefully he'll be there for the final show.
Yeah.
All right.
So Satya, you have your next week's hosts. Probably you should think about who you're going to call and invite and things like that. Probably depends upon who makes to the finals.
Right. I was thinking, we should probably invite the two finalists, the captains of two finals.
Yeah, but you know the problem with that, Parthiv, if Pokeries are in the finals, my friend Ravi Narala is a very superstitious guy, you see. So
Yep.
what happens is, he'll say, oh, we are winning and we didn't go on the show. And so, we definitely shouldn't go on the show. So
I
so,
can get. I think we can get like somebody like Ranjit or someone. I think he'd probably be more
no,
open
but
to
then
it.
there'll be instructions from the top. No, don't do that, because last time you did it, we got clobbered in the next game. And just imagine, let's say they do go and then they get clobbered. Then they'll say that it is all because of that person. So I think we have our limitations on who we can get and when we can get them. But sometimes you hope that, I don't know, skippers and people are more sportive. I mean, it
Yep.
was easy for you to duck today's show saying that, hey, I lost the game and not be there. But if you want to be a sport and if you want to promote cricket and if you want to be a champion for cricket, I think a lot of it depends upon what you do off the field. It's not all about me. It's all
I
about
agree.
what you can bring to the league and how you can make the league grow and how you, it's like in the NFL, what they talk about is making that pie bigger. The bigger the pie becomes, there is more of the pie for each individual team. And
Right.
so that's the same thing here. I mean, sometimes people are very short-sighted and they don't see the fact that, the idea is to make that pie bigger. And how can we make that pie bigger? Because that's what differentiates us. Because otherwise, leather ball would dominate us in every aspect. What leather ball doesn't have is what we have off the field.
Yep. Absolutely.
So,
I think that's definitely a game changer.
so anyway, great guys. Thanks for doing the show, and that's all from me. Good
Yep.
luck to all the teams, and hope we have a fantastic outing. I'm not sure if we'll get to see a live version of the Pokeries game, but I'm very sure I will be watching the KRCC game live because my friend Maulik Patel always makes it a point to send me a link of the. He records all the games live and he has the ability to do that, so I get to see that game live. But you know what, Partha, a number of teams are doing it now, and Raptors did it, and so that's why I got to see the Pokeries game versus Raptors. Right. That's why I know the very first ball they dropped the catch of Amarendra Nawala.
Yep, I think I would definitely take Kapil's name again. I think he was probably the initiator. Like I think we started this like I think 2017 or something. We started with this live streaming, and now pretty much every team is caught up with it.
Actually, Parthiv, let me correct you on that. Kapil caught it on from Maulik. Maulik used to play for Glads. Maulik was the first guy to ever broadcast a live game. Trust me.
Really?
If you don't believe me, go and ask Maulik. Go and ask Maulik. And Maulik was the very first guy, and I remember where that game was broadcast from also, because you remember Satya. It's in Woodhaven or one of those grounds, in this thing. That was the very first game ever broadcast live in the history of DCL. And then, of course, Parthiv, I know nothing of technology, so there is no way this would have happened. But I was very happy that the Glads guys were the first guys to do it. But it was all credit to Maulik. Maulik was the one who figured out how to do it. And then I think we did it for 3-4 games. But what I'll give credit to Kapil figured from Maulik or whatever it is, he figured out how it was being done. But he had the consistency to do it every single game.
Yep.
Whereas we did not have that consistency. We did it for 2-3 games, and then we are lazy guys, so we didn't do it. But yeah, now Maulik is doing it live every game. But apparently he has more than 1,000 subscribers. So
yeah, he told me that one of his videos, I don't remember what he did, but one of his videos got viral or something. Okay. And ever since then he's had his own channel. So I think there's some rule on YouTube that you need to get some X number of views to kind of have your own channel.
1,000 subscribers.
1,000 subscribers? Oh, okay.
We don't we can't go directly live. That's why we have to use Zoom. So we can't directly go on YouTube. So
no, I mean, I honestly feel doing it on YouTube is good. The reason is you can have all these videos saved, you see, and you can have it in one place.
Right.
Whereas I feel that Facebook, I don't know, I don't think that option is there. I mean, it gets lost after some time, right? How do you
It's
search?
there under videos, but you need to,
Oh, is it? Okay.
yeah. But the
Yeah.
YouTube,
Anyway, I understand the YouTube concept much better. So yeah.
Yeah, next year maybe we can give some space on the DCL website for people to post links, so that instead of having it individually sent through WhatsApp, people can just post it there, and
Oh,
you know
that's a very good idea,
I
actually.
think in
That
the
is that is
top
a
page there are some comments area we can create and just paste it.
yeah, yeah,
now, and that is good. I also think that you can subscribe. Like I subscribe to the Raptors channel,
yeah,
So I think every time they do something, now I get a,
right,
I guess I'll get some sort of information that
notification,
they
yeah,
have
yeah,
some sort of a thing going on. So
Or we
yeah,
can
I mean,
collect it and put it under our videos.
yeah, I don't understand technology, but I'm slowly learning one or two small things which is making my life more interesting. But
I
I
remember
feel
in one of the games in FCC Cup or some long time ago, there was one guy who was wearing the GoPro camera and batting.
wow.
That is even taking it a step further. He was
I
like,
think the umpires were wearing it.
no, it was the batsman. I remember he was
Sorry.
wearing it on his helmet. I think it may be a Mishka game. I'm sorry, I forget which. But I remember there was definitely one of the batsmen. Either it
They
was in
plan
the
to do it for umpires, so they can
okay.
wear the leg umpire and the main umpire, so they can review. But I think it didn't work out well, so they stopped it. So
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, this has been good. I mean, free flowing discussion.
Yes.
That's what makes it interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, guys. So I
So
feel sad that the season is coming to an end.
we've got
But
one more week. We've got
one
one more
more
week.
week.
Yep.
Yep, one more week.
So
We'll do our final partings at that time.
yep.
So,
All right.
all right. So sounds good, guys.
See you guys.
Take care.
All right.
All
Good
right.
night. Bye.